Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. First of all, may all of our homage be to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also may all of our homage be to our great Kalyana Mitra, Pinat Loka Swamin Vahanse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya, Teruvan Saranai. Dear meritorious devotees, now it is the time for you to listen to the great Buddha's teachings. Now, we all know our great teacher Supreme Buddha showed us a great path to practice. This is not something like any other teaching that ends from just understanding and just learning, but this is a teaching, Supreme Buddha's teachings are always should be put into practice. It is a path that we should walk, that not even the Buddha can take us to the nirvana or to the enlightenment. So that we must practically, we must put it into practice. If we don't put it into practice, there is no any success happens in Buddhist path. Okay? When we listen to the Buddha's teachings, we always need to find a way to ask from ourselves that how can I put these qualities that are being taught by the Buddha, how can I put these qualities into practice and add it into my life? Or in another way, in more simpler way, how can I, you should ask from yourself that how can I add these qualities into my daily practice? That is the most important thing that we need to find, because yes, we can talk about things a lot, even like for a community who listens to the Buddha's teachings a lot, there is none other than a community who get a lot of advices than Buddhists, because we have gotten used to listening to Buddha's teachings. Okay, most of the time people listen to Buddha's teachings, people listen to Dhamma sermons, people listen to advices from Mahasangha, maybe from people who are teaching the Buddha's teachings. We listen a lot, but very few of us ask the question, how can I add this to my daily practice? How can I realize this through my own realization? This is what we need to ask. So that is why we all need to find a way to practice. Yes, we need to listen. Listening is the first thing that we have to do. Otherwise, how can we learn the Buddha's teachings? Today you can listen as well as you can read, right? And also then you have to find a practical way to add these things into life. So today I would like to share a wonderful sutta from the Buddha that teaches us about the things or the qualities that keeps us moving forward in Buddhist practice. With these qualities, it gives us a huge motivation. It gives us a huge strength to move forward in the Buddhist practice or Buddhist path, right? In the Noble Eightfold Path. So without these qualities, we can't move forward in the Buddhist, like Noble Eightfold Path. This is sort of like a fuel to a vehicle, like, you know, like when you put petrol or diesel into a vehicle, that is what it keeps moving. That is the power, that is the strength behind the vehicle. So in the same way, this is the fuel for our Noble Eightfold Path, for a person, for a disciple who is practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, who loves to practice the Buddha's teachings, right? And also who is moving towards the nirvana or the enlightenment. One should practice these qualities. So these are called ඛබලවග. In Pali language, you call it ඛබලවග. And in English, we call it 5 trainees' powers. 5 trainees' powers. Now, when it comes to ඛබලවග, the word sekha is so important. Now, Buddha refers 2 people in this Buddhist practice. One is called sekha and the other one is called asekha. Asekha, the person who is called asekha, is the one who has already trained and finished the training, right? So asekha, who the Buddha refers as asekha, is the enlightened being, or the arahant, right? And sekha means trainee. Trainee means the one who trains in the Noble Eightfold Path. Still he is training, he is practicing, he is applying into practice, but still he hasn't reached the final goal. But asekha is the person who has reached the final goal, which is the enlightenment. So asekha is the arahant, and sekha is all the other great disciples who are practicing the Buddha's teachings, like Sotapanna disciple, Anagami disciple, Sakadagami disciple, Saddhanusari disciple. All these disciples, right, are the ones who are practicing the Buddha's path. So they are called sekha. So for a person, for someone who is practicing the path, right, practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, putting these Buddha's teachings into practice, they need power. They need this energy. They need this fuel to move forward in the path. So these are the 5 powers that we all need to possess, we all need to develop in our life to attain nirvana. Okay, these are called ඛබලවග. So today we are going to learn all these ඛබලවග one by one, and we are going to discuss about them. So the Buddha mentions about these ඛබලවග in a sutta called ඛබලවිත්තත Sutta. ඛබලවිත්තත Sutta. You can find this sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, book of 5, in first 50 suttas. This is the second sutta. All right, this is the second sutta of all the first 50 suttas. First of all, the Buddha says, and what because there are these 5 trainees' powers. There are 5 trainees' powers. And what 5? So these are the 5 trainees' powers, or these are the 5 ඛබලවග. First one is called power of faith. What is it? The power of faith. In Pali we call it Shraddha, right? So the second one is called power of moral shame, which is called Hiri. And also the third one is called the power of moral dread. The power of moral dread. Power of moral dread means ottappa in Pali language. And then power of energy. Power of energy means virya in Pali language. And finally, the 5th power is called the power of wisdom, which is called in Pali language panya. So now we are going to learn about these 5 trainees' powers one by one, and we are going to discuss them. So let's go to the first trainee's power. The first trainee's power is called Shraddha. Shraddha means the power of faith. So what do you mean by power of faith? So let's first refer to the Buddha's explanation about the power of faith. The Buddha says, here, a noble disciple is endowed with faith. He places faith in the enlightenment of the Tathagata. Thus, the Blessed One is an arahant, perfectly enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, knower of the world, unsurpassed trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the blessed one. This is called the power of faith. So Shraddha means faith, and the Buddha says he places his faith in the enlightenment of the Buddha. Right? So the Buddha didn't say that believe in me as a person. Right? Buddha says that you should put your faith on the realization of the Buddha, enlightenment of the Buddha. Right? You should have the confidence towards what Buddha realized. Okay? Buddha did not say that just merely believe me as a person. Right? Buddha says believe, put your faith in a practice, in a path, in a system. Okay? So Buddha says that put your faith in the enlightenment of the Tathagata. What is the enlightenment of the Tathagata? Or what is the realization of the Tathagata? Or the Buddha? Here, note that Tathagata is a word that used by the Buddha to refer to the Buddha. It is another name for the Buddha. Okay? So the Blessed One is an Arahant, perfectly enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, knower of the world, unsurpassed, trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one and the Blessed One. This is the realization of the Buddha. What Buddha realized was the Four Noble Truths. So if someone put faith on the Buddha, that means he is putting his faith on the realization of the Buddha, like Four Noble Truths. So when one believes the Four Noble Truths, then he gained the confidence to practice it, put it into practice. What should be put it into practice in Four Noble Truths is the Fourth Noble Truth. That is the path that we should be walking in, or that is the path that we should practice, okay, which is called the Noble Eightfold Path. So the Buddha says that you should put faith on the Buddha's realization or the enlightenment of the Buddha. Now when it comes to faith, right, the word faith, it's something that people find it's very difficult to understand, one thing. And then another thing, that word faith is something that people doesn't like at all, right, when it comes to religions. Because now most of the time I have found, like I've met people who says like, I don't believe in things, right? I don't have faith. I don't like this faith, right? I left a religion which has faith that I don't like it. Yes, there is some kind of faith that is harmful for people. For an example, like if you blindly believe in something, okay, if you blindly believe means like you don't reason, you don't ask questions, you don't put it into practice, you don't realize, you just mere believe in something that can be harmful. Not everything, but that can be harmful, right? So yes, there is, when it comes to faith, there is some kind of faith that is harmful for people, right? For an example, if you believe in a wrong wave which is harmful for yourself and the others, then it will be big harm for yourself first, right? For an example, there are people in this world, they believe that people in other religions, people of other beliefs should not exist in this world, right? They say that this is the only true religion in this world, that the others should not exist. What they do is they try to kill other people. Okay, either they should convert to this religion, or either they should buy this idea or buy this wave, or they should wipe out from this earth. And that is a wrong belief. So if one believes in that wave, then it will be a huge harm. It will be a huge harm for the person who believes that, and also for the other people. So there is a faith that is harmful for people. Right? Now when it comes to faith, the definition of faith is strongly believe in something, a religious conviction, without proper reasoning, proper understanding, and proper questioning. Just believe. That is the faith, right? But the Buddhist approach of faith, now in this sutta, it is the word faith is there, which is called Shraddha, but faith is not a proper word for defining Shraddha, I would say a proper word is a confidence. Right? Confidence is a proper word for the Shraddha. Now, when it comes to faith, people believe in 5 ways in anything, on anything. There are 5 ways that people believe in things. Okay, the Buddha explained that there are five ways that people have faith on things. The first one is called Shraddha. Shraddha is like mere believing. You can say it is the blind faith. Okay, this is the first one is called the blind faith. Second one is called Ruchi. Ruchi means the desire or the likeness. That means like if you like that person, you will believe what that person says. Okay, you merely believe that person, what that person says is because you like that person, or that you like the people who are telling that idea. So you may believe in such an idea because you like it. Second one. Third one, Shraddha, Ruchi, Anusava. Anusava is through listening. That means you got to listen to this idea. Just because you listen to it, through listening it, you just believe it. For an example, like if someone born into that religion, right, if a person is born into that religion, from the birth, if that person is born into that kind of a religious family, then what they hear is always, what they listen to always is the teachings or the ideas from their religion. So just because you get to listen to it, people believe in stuff like that. Okay, so that is called Anusava. Fourth one is called Akara Parivitaka. Akara Parivitaka can be translated as logical thinking, right? That means you think logically, or just because it is logical, it makes sense, right? It feels like makes sense and it is logical, you believe in this. So most of the time, if something is logical, people believe that, no? But see, what everything feels like logical doesn't mean that it is always right. Okay, that is why the Buddhist approach of faith goes beyond all these 5. So it's called logical thinking. And the fifth one is called Ditti Nijjhana Kanti. Ditti Nijjhana Kanti means, Ditti means wave, Nijjhana Kanti means like you absorb that wave, you immerse in that wave because that wave correlates with your wave, right? How you see the world and the wave correlates with you, so that you get the connection with that faith. So these are the 5 ways that people believe in things. But what Buddha says is that yes, you need to believe in things, but not in, your faith, your belief must go beyond these 5. So what is the approach of faith when it comes to Buddhism, right? When it comes to Buddhism, the approach of faith should be always through a practice, always through self-realization, right? To practice, you have to put it into practical world, you have to add it into daily life, and you have to see it through yourself. And then when you see it through yourself, by yourself, right, with the self-realization, now you understand, okay, this is truth. Now that realization cannot be changed by someone because you realized it. It is your own knowledge, your own realization. It is something like this. For an example, let's say you and I are in the darkness. Let's say 2 people are in the darkness, right? One person, in front of that person, there is a Buddha statue. Okay, the other person is a little bit far away, let's say. But they are totally immersed in the darkness. For a split second, there will be a lightning. Let's say a lightning occurs. For that split second, the surrounding, right, the surrounding around that person get light up. Now what happens? That person sees the Buddha statue in front of him. Now he saw it through his own eyes, right, for a split second, right? After that, they will be totally immersed in the darkness again. But the first person, he saw the Buddha statue through his own eyes, so that he experienced it. Now the second person comes to the first person and asks, then the first person says, like, there is a Buddha statue in front of us. Then that person believes, maybe if he believes that there is a Buddha statue in front of them, how the second person believes is just because that person said it. Maybe if the second person believes in the first person, then they will believe it. But how the first person believes is through his own experience. In the same way, when you put Buddha's teachings into practice, right? When you meditate, when you practice the mindfulness, when you practice satipatthana, when you practice these qualities like saddha, sila, sutta, tyaga, prajna, these qualities will help you to realize that Buddha's teachings are real, they're true. When you understand the true truth of this life through yourself, through your own practice, and then that realization is your own realization. When you realize the truth through yourself, then it is your own realization that no one can change your confidence towards the Buddha, because you realized it by yourself, and you say like, okay, I realized this, I realized what Buddha taught, so that what Buddha taught is correct, right? So the Buddha is true Arahant, right? Perfectly enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, knower of the world, unsurpassed trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the blessed one. These things, these ideas comes from through his own realization, because he realized what Buddha said. Okay? If you realize what Buddha said through your own practice, then your faith, your confidence can never be changed. Right? So when it comes to faith, there are two types of faith. One is called amulika saddha, which is called rootless faith, okay, a baseless faith, which is merely a blind faith, which can be changed at any time, because just there is no reason for this faith, just believing. And then there's another faith, the second type of faith, called akaravati shraddha. Akaravati shraddha is the faith that is with a root or with a reason, proper reason, through his own realization, confidence. So that is called faith. Okay, so what Buddha teaches here is that faith is the power that helps a person to move forward in the Noble Eightfold Path. And also remember, you can't have this faith, right? You can't have this proper faith without the other 5 ways. First, we need to listen. First we need to have some sort of belief in the Buddha's practice, but we should not get stuck in that place, right? We should put it into practice, and we should experience the Buddha's teachings through our own self, right? That is called the power of faith. And then the second one, let's discuss about the second power. The second power is called hiri. Hiri means moral shame. So what do you mean by moral shame? The Buddha explains the moral shame like this. Here, a noble disciple has a sense of moral shame. He is ashamed of bodily, verbal, and mental misconduct. He is ashamed of acquiring evil, unwholesome qualities. This is called the power of moral shame. So, moral shame is acquired through understanding what Buddha taught us, right? So when the Buddha said, when you have the faith, when you have the confidence, when you have the saddha towards the Buddha's teachings, now you know what Buddha said is true. So when the Buddha teaches the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha says these things are harmful. Doing these things, like these verbal conducts, these mental conducts, these physical conducts, are harmful for the path, harmful for practice. For an example, Buddha introduced the sila, or the virtues, to keep us away from these unwholesome verbal conducts and physical conducts. For an example, the Buddha says that do not kill animals, stay away from killing beings. Now, when the Buddha says that stay away from killing beings, it is why Buddha says that, because it is an unwholesome action which harms yourself and the others too. So if a person believes, have faith on what Buddha said, now he gains the confidence to believe, okay, there is killing living beings is something that should not be done. right? So that he become ashamed of killing living beings. So that is called the moral shame. Okay, so when a person has the moral shame, he tends towards to live a more of a moral life, right? An ethical life, which is more disciplined life, which does not harm himself and the others, right? So that is the whole point of having the moral shame. So the Buddha says that the noble disciple has the sense of moral shame. He becomes shameful. He becomes ashamed of doing these unwholesome things. And he thinks like, no, it should not be done. This is not good for me. I'm ashamed of doing these things. When one person is ashamed of doing these things, doing unwholesome things, it is a great benefit for himself, benefit for himself and for the society, right? So the Buddha says there are two qualities that keeps a community, the society, happily and peaceful. So these qualities are the moral shame and the moral dread, right? This is what keeps this world protected. Okay, as long as there is moral shame and moral dread, the society will be protected. That means like as long as people are ashamed of doing unwholesome things, right? When people are ashamed of doing unwholesome things, then they don't harm each other. They won't harm each other. See what happens to this society. When people lose the shame of doing unwholesome things, they dare themselves to do these things. They don't hesitate to do these unwholesome actions. So what happens? It will be harmful for themselves and for the others. Okay, so that is why it is really important for all of us to have moral shame of doing unwholesome things, right? Have a shame of doing unwholesome things. So this shame is gained through the confidence towards the Buddha. It doesn't come out of the blue, right? First, the main quality that we need to possess is the faith or the Shraddha or the confidence towards the Buddha's teachings. When one has that confidence towards the Buddha's teachings, he tends towards to be more disciplined, be more virtuous and be more moral, live a moral life. So moral shame is important. So when the Buddha says that killing living beings, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and then having intoxicants, these things are harmful, then that person has this shame of doing these 5 things. Then he stay away from these 5 things and live a disciplined and a moral and ethical life, which brings happiness to himself and for the others, right? And then the moral dread. The third quality is called the moral dread. Moral dread is sort of, it starts from moral shame and it goes for the moral dread. Moral dread is like he become afraid of doing unwholesome things, right? He become afraid of doing, no, I don't want to dare to do these things. I don't even dare to do these unwholesome things. Okay, these qualities, this idea always comes through faith towards the Buddha, Shraddha towards the Buddha, but true in the true Shraddha or the Akarvati Shraddha, well rooted, well based, well placed Shraddha. Okay, without that, these things won't come to our practice. Okay, so a noble disciple has this moral dread. These powers, these are the things that keeps the disciple away from doing unwholesome things, which is harmful for his path. Okay, so when he has moral shame and moral dread, it is a power, it is an energy to keep moving forward. Like why Buddha said, the reason why Buddha said that stay away from unwholesome actions is to stay away from regret. The main reason is to stay away from regret, right? For an example, like imagine a time when we said something that is unwholesome. Let's say we blamed someone, okay? We insult someone. Yes, we feel happy when we insult, right? As soon as we insult, but after some time, our hearts start to complain us, like our mind start to complain us, like what you did is wrong. Then you start to regret. There are how many things that we have been regretting, because all of these things that we have been regretting is most of the time it is an unwholesome thing. So that is why to stay away from the regret, that you should practice this moral shame and moral dread. And then, what is the fourth quality? It is called the energy. Energy means virya. Virya can be translated in another word, can be translated as effort. Okay, it should have this effort. Put an effort for what? But the Buddha says, the noble disciple has aroused energy for abandoning unwholesome qualities. To abandon unwholesome qualities, that you need to have some sort of energy, some sort of effort. You need to put some sort of effort, right? And acquiring wholesome qualities. Also, when we practice, when we acquire wholesome qualities, you need the energy, you need to put some effort. That is why I always say all the good qualities need a huge energy, right? It should be put into practice, and we should put some energy and effort towards it and then acquire it. It will be always difficult to acquire the wholesome qualities. None of the wholesome qualities are easy to practice, easy to achieve. All the good things in this world, all the good achievements are in this world are difficult things to achieve. Okay? And I would say it should be difficult, right? If it is something good, if it is something wholesome, it should be difficult to achieve. Why? Because if it was easy to achieve, what will happen? We don't feel the value of it. You know, like let's say, for an example, there are gems, there are very rare and precious stones in this world. Are they rare or are they frequently found? They are rare, right? We can't find them everywhere, right? People have to put some effort, dedication, sacrifice, and then they need to obtain it, you know. In the same way, these good qualities, like wholesome qualities, we need to put it into practice and add some effort to it. How Buddha defines the virya or the energy is that here a noble disciple has aroused energy for abandoning unwholesome qualities and acquiring wholesome qualities. He is strong, firm in exertion, not casting off the duty of cultivating the wholesome qualities. This is called the power of energy. See? Not giving up, putting energy into it, putting that into practice. It is called the energy or the virya. Right? Virya is something that we all need to have. Right? But this effort, this virya comes from what? What quality? What is the base of this quality? The base of this quality, the mother quality of all these qualities is the faith, the confidence towards the Buddha. Right? What Buddha said was right. I need to practice it. By practicing this, I can achieve this. So that confidence gives you the power of moral shame, power of moral dread, and also power of the energy. Now this disciple is putting the Buddha's teaching into practice. You know, adding it into life, meditating, practicing mindfulness, practicing satipatthana, you know, learning the Buddha's teachings, wisely reflecting on it. When he practices it, finally the fifth quality, the fifth power will be achieved. What is it? The fifth power is the power of wisdom, which is called prajna. Now see how the Buddha explains the word prajna. How Buddha explains the word prajna is here, a noble disciple is wise. Okay? He possesses the wisdom that discerns arising and passing away, which is noble and penetrative, and leads to the complete destruction of suffering. This is called the power of wisdom. Now what Buddha says is that noble disciple is wise. Now note that wise, the word wise is differently used in different ways when we use it. Now for an example, who is a person that we call wise? Usually. A person that we call wise normally is a person who have learned a lot, has a lot of knowledge, a lot of information in his brain, right? For an example, let's say for someone who is having maybe 2 or 3 PhDs, you know, and also maybe a professor or someone who is like, oh, he's very wise. That is knowledge. Okay, that is knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge are two different things. There are a lot of people who are with knowledge, but they do unwise things, you know, they do foolish things. So that is why understand that to be wise, you don't need knowledge or information. You don't need to have 2 or 3 PhDs to be wise, right? That is why even in the Buddha's times, poor people with no education, they listen to the Buddha's teachings and they realize them, because they were wise enough to understand the Buddha's teaching and put it into practice. You know, what Buddha says that he possesses the wisdom that discerns arising and passing away. This is the wisdom that we need to possess. What is it? The wisdom that discerns, that understands, that realizes the arising and passing away. So what is arising and passing away? Now Buddha explains that everything is conditioned, right? Every phenomena, everything is conditioned in this world. So that he should have the ability to realize this, right? Through satipatthana, through meditating, through mindfulness, what he realizes is that everything is subjected to change. Everything has its arising with the conditions. When there are conditions, it will arise, and when the conditions become changed, it will cease to exist. It will pass away. Okay, so understand that. Understanding the impermanent nature of life, right? The ability for someone to understand the impermanent nature of life, impermanence of life, is called the wisdom. Now, even this quality is achieved through what? Shraddha, the belief, the faith towards the Buddha's practice, you know, Buddha's path or the Noble Eightfold Path. So understand, out of these all 5 qualities, the first and the most important thing is Shraddha. Okay, but how to develop this faith? How to develop Shraddha? First, we need to listen to Buddha's teachings, right? Calmly and mindfully listen to Buddha's teachings. And also then, second one is put it into practice, right? Put it into our daily life and add it into daily life. We need to have a daily practice that we should keep going, keep moving forward in the Buddha's path. So these are the 5 main qualities, 5 main powers that a trainee must have. That means a person who walks towards, who walks forward in this Noble Eightfold Path must have these 5 qualities or 5 powers. That is what keeps a disciple or a devotee or a disciple keep moving forward in the Noble Eightfold Path. So this is why it is important to practice this. So to practice or to achieve these qualities, to achieve these powers, first of all, we need to have the faith towards the Buddha. So to have the faith towards the Buddha, I invite all of you to listen to Buddha's teachings, read the Buddha's teachings, explore the Buddha's teachings, put them into practice, and then you will achieve these 5 great qualities. And then finally, you will be able to achieve the 4 noble, to realize, to have the ability to realize the 4 noble truths in this very life. So I wish you all, may all of you be able to realize the 4 noble truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So now it is the time to share all the merits for the people who are sponsoring for this Dhamma sermon today. So today's Dhamma sermon is sponsored by Mr. Malinda Dias and Mrs. Nishadi Pereira. First of all, let's share all the merits with all the Devas who protect the Gautam Buddha's dispensation. May all the Devas rejoice in this merit, and may they be well and happy, and may they protect all the people who are sponsoring for this Dhamma sermon today, and may all the Devas realize 4 noble truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with all the departed relatives of the sponsoring family. Late Mrs. Chitrani De Silva and also led Mr. Jayaratna Perera. Let's share all these merits with the older departed relatives. Rejoice in this merit and may they escape from this samsara as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also, let's share all the merits, especially with Seth Dias Putta, who is celebrating his 10th birthday. So may Seth Dias Putta rejoice in this merit, and may he be well and happy. May he live long. May he live a happy life. May his education become successful, and may Seth Dias Putta be able to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with Mrs. Nishadi Pereira, who is celebrating her birthday on January 29th. May she rejoice in this merit, and may she be well and happy. May she live long. May she live a happy life, and may she be able to realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with all the family members of all the sponsoring family, especially with Mr. Dixon Dias and also Mrs. Padmalata Pereira, and all the family members and the people who helped to achieve, to make this Dhamma sermon a success. May all these people and devotees rejoice in this merit, and may they be well and happy. May they live long. May they live a happy life, and may they realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share all the merits with all the people who joined to this Dhamma sermon today, all the people who listen to this Dhamma sermon today. May all of you devotees rejoice in this merit by the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. May all of you be well and happy. May all of you live long. May all of you live a happy life. And may all of you realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya, Tedvan Saranai.